Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. In tonight's performance of this podcast, the role of Console Year 5s will be played by an Indie World Showcase. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I am always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. Mark, how's it going?
It's going great. You know, you and I were talking, not on mic, not on the show, but you and I were talking.
Every now and then we talk and it's not being recorded. You're right.
But why waste the content?
Why waste it?
And we were feeling like, hey, we're probably maybe due for an Indie World Showcase, you know? Feels
That's
like
right.
The timing could be right. It's been a while since we've had one.
I believe the question I pose is, hey, are we due for a Nintendo Direct of some kind? Because we had the September showcase, and other than the two videos that they promised during that showcase, we hadn't had anything in a while. And I thought, hey, what's going on?
Last year we were getting partner showcases left and right.
Some of them not very good. But we were also getting like Indie World showcases and like all this kind of stuff. So, you know, we had a plan to discuss Console Year 5s to sort of assess where the Switch was in its life cycle as it's compared to other consoles. But look, all that noise is going to have to wait until 2022. Right now, we are going to have to break down the Indie World showcase that aired on Wednesday morning. But Mark, before we get into that, my copy of Sonic Forces for the Nintendo Switch is a game that you could borrow from me. All you gotta do is email us at nintendocartridgesociety@gmail.com and give us a mailing address, like a physical mailing address, coordinates on the globe, where we can send you my copy of Sonic Forces. You play it for as long as you want. You send it back. It costs you nothing. I pay for postage both ways. Mark, there and back. Could be a copy of Untitled Goose Game in there. That doesn't change the arrangement at all. You play it for as long as you want. You send it back. It doesn't cost you anything.
Continues to be the perfect program. Another thing you can do, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. We appreciate it so much. It helps people find the show. It improves our ranking in the podcast stores. If you leave us a review in the U.S. Apple Podcast Store, we'll give you a shout out on the show. We see it there. If you leave us a review anywhere else, the podcast U.S. or the Apple Podcast Store, not in the U.S., a different podcatcher, or you share the show some other way, let us know. Send us an email. Hit us up on Twitter. We'd love to give you a shout out.
Yeah, we love giving shout outs. I'm going to do a shout out right now just for an email we got. Thanks, Keith. It was nice to get your email. Keith was just enjoying the cardies, said that we were talking about Wheel of Time, Fire Emblem, and Mario, and he felt like he was home. So thank you, Keith. We appreciate the feedback. Everyone else, let's feel like we're home too. Because this is a comfy place, right? I'm comfortable. Are you comfortable?
I'm feeling great.
We are recording, of course, in Mark's home right now, so I have to assume that he would be comfortable. In the following weeks, we are only putting out one episode a week. Next week, the week of Christmas, we are going to be putting out an episode where we're just talking about Sega Genesis games. The games are as follows: Gunstar Heroes, Rystar, and Golden Axe. And then the next week, the week of New Year's, we still Sega Genesis games. We are talking about Phantasy Star 4, The End of the Millennium, Strider, and Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine.
Yeah, it's going to be a real Genesis Christmas.
And a real Genesis after Christmas. I guess maybe that falls into like the 12 days of Christmas period, right?
Sure, yeah.
When are the 12 days of Christmas? Do they start on Christmas?
I'm going to be completely honest with you, Patrick. I have no idea.
Do you
want me to take a guess?
Yeah, of course.
Then yeah, I think probably.
Okay, great. I think for our purposes, they start like 3 days before Christmas. So both these episodes can fall within them as well.
Also, it's a Sega Genesis Christmas, an important distinction, not like the band.
Right, or like the book in the Bible, right?
Right.
This is all important because a Genesis Christmas is confusing. Okay, enough screwing around, Mark. Let's get into the Indie World Showcase from Wednesday, December 15th at 9 a.m.
Pacific time.
Thank you. Yes. Pacific time in the year of our Lord 2021. Announced in typical Nintendo fashion with like a day and a half's notice, maybe like 36-ish hours notice. And 20 minutes of new to the Switch games. Some surprisingly far out.
A lot. I felt like, the leading with one that was holiday, that was a full year away.
Right, and that's the furthest one out is holiday 2022. There was a second where seeing that date up there, and it's for Sea of Stars, which we are going to talk about in more detail, where my heart skipped a beat where I was like, holiday? Like, we're in holiday now. I'm going to play Sea of Stars. And no, I'm not. I'm going to have to wait, just like everyone else plays Sea of Stars a year from now. But before we get into the particulars, how did you feel about this indie showcase?
I thought this was a solid, nice indie showcase. I feel like for all of these, there are certain games that I'm anticipating. I really want to hear more about Sports Story. Really want to hear
Where's Silk Song?
Yeah, like the DLC for Katana Zero. But I also like that it's not just the same games over and over. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, we did see OlliOlli World in the previous Indie World showcase. And we have Sea of Stars was announced previously. So, like, there's a lot here that isn't, like, coming out of nowhere.
Right.
But
I totally forgot. I had to go and do research about Sea of Stars because I was like, this seems familiar, but I forgot that it had been kickstarted in 2020. Although, before we get into that, for some reason, this Indie World Showcase, I was hyper focused on the developer intros.
Yes.
For all of them, and just thinking about what a nightmare it would be if I were in their shoes and having to record one of those, because I would feel so self-conscious about everything.
And you record twice weekly a podcast,
but not on video.
Yeah, okay.
Where what am I doing with my eyes? When do I turn my head and look at my co-presenter?
Right.
Am I blinking too much or not enough?
Well, this is what I'm saying is that you at least have the broadcast experience of doing this podcast for the last 5 years. A lot of these people, you can tell, have no experience talking to a camera or in a recorded medium at all because they're working on making games.
Yeah, I just feel like it's so it just seems like it'd be really hard.
Here's the thing. It is all of this stuff when you see these developer intros or them talking about their game for a second, that's all balanced with the professionals that Nintendo hires to do voiceover for these presentations, and they're just delivering bad jokes and then unconvincingly groaning at those bad jokes. So everyone's in good company. It's all
I'm not.
It's all kind of crummy performance.
No, I'm absolutely not critiquing because what I'm not. Because,
I'm critiquing. I've got notes.
No, because what I'm saying is I feel for them, I thought everybody did a serviceable job because I'm imagining myself in that scenario, and I'm like, it's not like I'm gonna pull out some Oscar-winning performance as I'm trying to sell people on my game. I just thought it was funny. For some reason I just paid a lot of attention to it. I think it's because when we talk about Aliisha, those developers in their thing, they had planned hand emotions that they did for certain parts. So I just feel like it's a fun glimpse into the different personalities of these different studios.
Yeah.
The guy from Way Forward for River City Girls 2,
right,
totally had this I'm too cool for this type thing going on. It's I just thought I think it's a fun insight into how the developers choose to present themselves.
My favorite was the guys from the studio that did Loco Motive, where there was one guy who was obviously pretty comfortable with it, and the other guy who's just audibly sweating.
Well, that was the one that got me thinking of how difficult it is to look, and this is from somebody who the camera hates. I am not good on camera in any way, shape, or form, and so I was hyper focused on.
I refuse to believe that, Mark.
No,
the camera
so
must
true.
love you. Come on.
It's so true. But I was. We'll talk about some of my commercial auditions sometime.
All right.
But I was so hyper focused on those two guys because that was the one where I was like, man, how do you naturally look at your presenting partner?
Yeah.
Right? Because it all looks so robotic.
Yeah.
But then I'm thinking
because there's a huge level of artifice to it.
Yes. And so it's just it's a thankless job. So
Absolutely.
thank you to all the presenters who were doing it.
No,
because
Mark,
like
if you thank them, it is no longer a thankless job.
But anyways, that was my takeaway. I thought it was a fine Indie World showcase. It was like comfort food,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
There weren't a ton of games that I was like, that looks amazing, but there were a lot of, I thought, like solid looking games. It just felt nice to have an Indie World showcase.
Yeah.
And I was like the one guy where they were doing like the one take where he like stands up and then speaking in Dutch. Everybody is like walking out of the room and then starts like singing in English. I started laughing. It was magical. I loved the whole experience.
It's always uncomfortable to watch a man pick up a guitar and start singing, right? That's the trailer for Figment 2. And we will of course get to that. Mark, yes.
I was just gonna ask what you thought.
So I liked it. I like this presentation a lot. It started with Sea of Stars, which is absolutely a game that I'm 100% going to play. It's from the people that made The Messenger, which was one of my favorite games of 2019 or whenever it came out. So like I'm there for it already, and the type of game that it is, and the like influences that they're calling out are just that's the type of game I want to play. But I also like sort of spent the rest of this day like living in a nice like indie paradise because I picked up Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon this morning and started playing through some of that. And it's great, and I'm very happy with it. I know it's not featured in this presentation, but it all felt like a piece to me where like here are indie games I can get excited about. Here's an indie game I am currently excited to play.
Yeah, that's so much fun. I was trying to remember when the last Indie World Showcase was, and I did no research to look it up, but it feels like it has been a while. And so
yeah,
it was just nice to have like Indie World Showcase.
Yeah, and anytime there's a presentation from Nintendo, not anytime, there are disappointing ones, but usually there's a presentation from Nintendo and there's something in there to appreciate and to really like dig into and to get excited about for what's coming in the next year or so. Mark, should we get started?
Yes, let's do it.
First game up is Sea of Stars, which we have now maybe described in its entirety. It's coming out holiday 2022. It is from the studio that made The Messenger. It takes place in the universe of The Messenger, and is functionally a prequel, but is not, they make a point of saying it's not necessary that you play one to understand the other.
And totally different gameplay from The Messenger.
Ooh, wholly different gameplay from The Messenger. The Messenger is a ninja game, kind of spends half of it being a very like Ninja Gaiden-like action platformer, and then the latter half of the game is like a Metroid-like game. I loved it. I loved it all the way through. I love the expansion that they put out for it months after its release. A game that I just adored. And this new one is a Chrono Trigger-esque turn-based RPG with you control a lunar monk and a solar blade dancer, and you perform eclipse magic together. I don't know. It sounds very cool.
It does. Also, it has the aesthetics of, like a classic 16-bit RPG. They even have Yasunori Mitsuda composing some of the music. This is the famed composer of games like Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which is really cool.
It's very, very cool. The Chrono Cross in particular is a soundtrack that I keep going back to. Sort of an underappreciated game, which maybe is getting a remake of some kind. We don't know. Rumors in the wind. But the soundtrack is just absolutely kicking all the way through. So I'm very excited for this game.
So this is the first time. It really just tells you how like hyper focused my gaming is on Nintendo. It's like all I have the brain power for, because I didn't realize that this was kickstarted in 2020. And at the time it was announced for consoles and PC. Switch is the first console that it's confirmed for, but I'm really excited for this. I liked The Messenger. I fell off once it turns into like the 16-bit Metroidvania because I found I just got lost. Mm-hmm. But I really liked what I played of it, and a throwback turn-based RPG with music by Mitsuda, like. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, if it can pull off just as The Messenger does, where it's like it feels like a forgotten classic, and if it can be that, but for 16-bit RPGs, like absolutely, I'm there.
Yeah. Up next is a game called Aliisha, the Oblivion of Twin Goddesses, planned for release in spring 2022. This is a Switch exclusive.
And it sort of has to be, right?
Right.
Because the way that the developers describe it, or maybe it was the announcers, I forget, is that you control these two twins, presumably these twin goddesses. Who knows? Maybe they're not goddesses. That one of them you control using motion controls when the Switch is in docked mode, and the other one you can control with, or have to control with, touch screen by like taking it into handheld mode.
Yeah, and I feel like that's an important note, is that seemingly that's like you have to play that way, which I think is really interesting. You know, if you're playing as the one sister, you are playing with motion controls.
Right.
And if you're playing as the other sister, you're playing with a touch screen, and that's it.
Yeah, and so seemingly not a game you're going to be able to play on the Switch Lite, right? Because like,
Well,
you can't. There are. Oh, I guess you could connect Joy-Cons to it.
but the Switch, does the Switch Lite? I'm grappling with this for the first time.
Yeah.
Does the Switch Lite have a touchscreen?
Yeah.
Okay, so you,
yeah,
so I
definitely.
guess you could play.
Yeah, you would just need a separate set of Joy-Cons,
Well, no, you would just play single player with the touchscreen.
but you wouldn't be able to control the other sister.
I don't think you have to.
Oh, that you can choose which sister you play as?
This is all speculation.
We don't know.
But I believe the way that they are, because otherwise you would have to have two systems, and I just don't.
No, I think the design, and this is also me struggling to understand. I think the idea is that it wants you to take the Switch out of the dock, touch it with the touch screen, and then when you need to play it with motion controls, put it back in the dock.
Oh, interesting.
Like, I think
that could 100% be true.
Yeah.
That is not how the takeaway I had from it. The takeaway I had is that like you play as one sister or the other, and you are just controlling that one sister. So the other character would be controlled by like AI or CPU or whatever. I have zero clue if that is true. That
Right.
was just my assumption based on the little bit that they showed there.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot still to understand about this game, because I also wasn't clear on whether there are parts of this game that you are still just controlling with like sticks and buttons, and if it's just like there are special abilities that require them, or like puzzle solving.
Yeah, again, my takeaway was like no, that it's
just
either
the
all
one
motion
way.
controls,
Okay.
but yeah.
They also mentioned overlapping music when playing with a friend, and I'm not really sure what that means.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like
Two switches and
right, or right, because you can play I think you can play in-person co-op, or you can play on online co-op, and I wonder if depending on which like sister you're controlling, the music is different, but when you're playing together that
yeah.
like the music is combined,
like complementary in some way.
exactly, yeah.
Do you remember when we were playing Triforce Heroes with Matt, and we were all like locally connected, the 3DSs were all connected directly, and we would turn up our volume and the music would be perfectly synced?
It was such a neat trick that was probably technically very difficult, but you didn't like really think about it.
Mhm.
It just worked. It was very cool.
Yeah, I remain forever impressed with some of Nintendo's technology in like eliminating lag in things. It blows my mind that the playing a game on the Wii U gamepad and like on the stuff on the screen is as fast as it is, because that controller is not
Doing any computing.
It's not doing any computing.
Yeah.
It takes your inputs, sends them wirelessly over to the machine that you're playing on, and then it wirelessly sends the like result back to the screen. It's remarkable that there's no lag in it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying the Wii U doesn't get enough praise for this. I have really no idea what to make of this.
I don't really either.
Aliisha
Yeah,
game.
I don't really either.
Next up is Loco Motive, coming out summer 2022. It is a 1930s train murder mystery, and it's got kind of a like pixel art point and click adventure vibe to it.
Yeah, you have in the notes here that it's like that old Scum LucasArts style, and I 100% agree. The first thing I thought of was Thimbleweed Park,
Totally, yes.
which I played on Switch, and has that same sort of aesthetic. Because that was also a throwback to the old LucasArts point and click adventure games. I mean, look, this is checking so many boxes.
I had to check
you
in
know,
with
it's
you.
like
Yes.
a closed room murder mystery, right? It's on a train. Check. Love it. 2, it's on a train. Check. Love it. It's a murder mystery. Check. Love it. 1930s. Check. Love it. Like, point and click adventure game. Totally here for it. Like, this is really right up my alley for sure.
Yeah, it does seem very cool. I like the aesthetic of it. Like there are some parts where they show like the outside of the train, and it seems like the 8-bit pixel art is like really pretty cool. And like they must be like faking it in some way because it looks very rad. You play as 3 different characters, each of whom is suspected to like be the
which
murderer.
I feel like is a fun idea too, where it's you know, like you have to prove
clear
you have to
your
find
name.
who did
Yeah,
it by
yeah.
and you have to clear your name. That's a fun idea.
A fully voiced cast. Mark, what do you make of that? That was one thing that when I saw it, I was like, oh. Like I almost, given the aesthetic, I sort of expect it to be text on screen.
Yeah, interesting. I don't know. You know.
Yeah, you feel fine about it.
I feel. It doesn't make me more interested in the game. It doesn't make me less interested in the game. I will. There's a good chance I'll play with the volume down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Voice acting is difficult to do well.
Yes.
The trailer had a classic getting hit in the crotch joke.
Hey, man.
I not on my Indie World Showcase bingo card, but
sure,
you never know now.
We should develop those for the future. If Nintendo gives us more than 36
maybe
hours
we
notice.
we just need a stock one that
Okay.
you pull out for every Indie World Showcase.
That's a great
and
idea.
now getting hit in the crotch joke can be on there because that gate is open.
There's precedent for it now. Got it. And then what else would be on there? A game announced for more than a year from now. Available today has got to be on there. Although that feels like a free space. And then Silk Song will also be on there, and we'll just never get to fill that one in.
Up next was After Love EP, releasing summer 2022. Set in Jakarta, Indonesia. The style and aesthetics are inspired by manga, but the developer talks about wanting people to be able to kind of like see the Jakarta that they know. It comes from the developer of What Comes After and Coffee Talk. The story is that after his girlfriend dies, Rama tries to deal with the grief, write music, and kind of like move on with his life. Part narrative adventure, part rhythm game with original music from Alfalfa, which is an Indonesian band. I thought this looked nice. I thought this looked cool.
Yeah, this looked cool. I'm interested to the like rhythm game parts of it that they showed off seemed pretty simple.
Yeah.
That it was like a single note and you just had to like tap it in rhythm. But I like stories about musicians using their music to deal with grief. Like that is such a like for me a way to actually like, or a way that I have used music is to like just deal with what I'm going through, and especially like as a songwriter or as a musician. So I don't know. I feel like we don't get games about this sort of thing a lot. So to sort of like fold in the narrative elements with the rhythm game elements, yeah, it seems dope.
Yes. I thought the music in the trailer was really cool. There was one other game coming up that. Sorry, Figment 2 Creed Valley was not Figment 2 Creed Valley, but there was a song in the trailer for that I really liked as well. We'll talk about it later.
All right, cool. The next up is Dungeon Munchies, which is available right now. And Mark, before we get into describing this, is this the most indie video game you've ever seen in your life?
It is. It's like the indie video game.
So you play as a dead man who has risen from his coffin in some sort of laboratory. And all you encounter are types of food that are trying to kill you. You can kill the food and fry them up in a skillet. The skillet has a face. And then you can eat the food that you make with the food that you murdered to give yourself power-ups to fight bigger food.
Yep.
And it seemingly has that like, what's that like Terraria or one of those like Minecraft-esque
except it's not like 3D art like
yes.
Minecraft, but it has kind of like the quintessential indie look
Yes.
Like
Yeah,
that's
totally.
you have seen this art style before. Not that it is done bad.
No.
This looks fun. Like it looks funny.
Yes.
Like it has a really good sense of humor. But it is very much like this is an indie game.
This is an indie game. It has an indie game sense of humor.
I think
there is a witch named Simmer.
I think because my brain has been I'm just so like I see everything through a Nintendo lens.
Yeah.
That when I saw that like cooking mechanic and everything, I was like, oh, they were inspired by that Breath of the Wild cooking mechanic and took that and turned it into something else. There's cooking in a lot of video games, right? So it's not like that is an accurate assessment of what happened, but that's where my mind went.
I mean, even just that the game is called Dungeon Munchies, like I don't know, there's something about that feels very like early 2000s. I'm sure this is a fine and lovely game, but like
yeah, I thought it looked fun. Like I thought it looked cute. I think it is always like Patrick. If someday we have a game featured in the Indie World Showcase,
right, and God willing, we will,
and we have an opportunity,
yes,
to like I don't know. Do you think that they have veto power over the narration, or like they can give input to the narrators? Because I feel like we would not allow hilarious side-splitting story to that phrase to be associated with our game. That's
no, it's a real problem. It's a red flag where it's like, look how funny this game is trying to be.
Yeah.
And I don't. The whole thing has me a little worried. If someone's playing Dungeon Munchies again, it is available today, and it's fun. Let me know because I'd be happy to eat my words on this.
Oh yeah, I thought it looked cute. Like I agree with you that it is totally like the hyper. It's like the manic pixie dream girl of indie games.
Yes,
right. But I thought it looked fun.
It's like Devolver Digital incarnate, right? It's my friend Pedro is what we're talking about here, right?
Yeah. Yep. Up next was Figment 2 Creed Valley.
Mark's
releasing
favorite.
February 2022. There's a demo available today. I have nothing against this game. I just thought that the intro video, for whatever reason, was like hilariously. I just thought the whole thing was hilarious.
I mean, it's one of those it's so earnest, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Which makes it not the best to to laugh at, but like I don't know, here we are.
Yep.
So it's cool though. Obviously they're putting the music sort of like front and center, and they say that the music changes with boss fights and to sort of like match the gameplay. No real demonstration of what that means,
right?
Exactly.
Which I thought was interesting.
Because like what does that mean? Are more instruments like layered in as you go into different areas, as you equip things, as you jump on Yoshi? Are there suddenly tom-toms there too, like playing along with the music? Not really clear.
Are you familiar with the original Figment?
No, I've never heard of it.
Me either.
And in fact, them saying Figment just makes me think of the Journey into Imagination at Epcot.
Yep.
And that purple dragon named Figment. This looks kind of like a hack and slashy Zelda thing. In the words of the narration, it is a musical puzzle adventure game set inside the human mind. And you can play either in solo or in co-op. It looks interesting. I think it's neat to see an art style that is not pixel art in these things. It's always sort of novel to see someone doing something not just that. And yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I'll be interested to see. Well, I guess I could check out the demo. I'm going to check out the demo for this one.
Yeah, and we don't have to wait that long for the full game, February.
Next up is Let's Play Oink Games, also available now. This is a series of tabletop games from Oink Games, which must be a game publisher. I'm not familiar with them, Mark. I don't know if you are. But the 4 games that are available on it now are Startups, Deep Sea Adventure, A Fake Artist Goes to New York, and Moon Adventure.
Yeah, I thought that this looked cute. It reminded me of Clubhouse Games.
Totally.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not familiar with Oink Games, but it seems like they are a, tabletop board game company. And A Fake Artist Goes to New York. That's
what a great name. What a great name.
Yeah, it seems like based on the little bit that they saw, it seems like a fun game. Or the little bit that they showed. I really want to keep calling this. I just feel like it should have been called Let's Oink.
Yeah, Let's Oink is pretty good. You have to know what Oink Games is for it to work. Let's play Oink Games. At least like oh, I'm gonna play games on this.
Right.
Right.
Specifically
Oink
Games.
Games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. This I liked the aesthetic of both Deep Sea Adventure and Moon Adventure. That like it seems like the actual game pieces, like if you had the real tabletop versions, would be just like little wooden pieces, right? Like little cutouts of like people and like tiles and stuff. So it's not the really like detailed like molded plastic or like whatever sort of modular game board nonsense. Like they all felt like classic games that I've never played. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it also like they're not going for the hyper realism
Yeah.
of Clubhouse Games or something where it like has like that tactile like felt feel and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
This is more playful. I thought it looked really inviting.
So you can do either online or local play. More games will be added in the future, which is cool, but also kind of like what put all the games in the game. And it's a timed console exclusive on Switch, and it is available now.
Up next was Endling Extinction is Forever in spring 2022, and the developers in the beginning let you know that this game is going to be a bummer.
That they're like, this is we're going to show you a world that will happen if we don't change our consumption habits, which I agree with, but it's also like, man, what a bummer.
Yeah. Well, you're the last mama fox in a world ravaged by mankind, just trying to take care of your 3 cubs, which are 1, really cute.
So cute.
And 2, not all gonna make it, seemingly.
Depending on how you play, not all of your cubs may survive to the end. Which
harsh.
I would love to play, and they describe it as a stealth survival adventure game, where you're playing as a mother fox with the 3 cubs. That sounds incredible. But the fact that it is like expressly a bummer, I don't know that I have the heart to play this game.
I know. Also, I laughed a little bit when it's like the goal is to reach the one place on Earth humans can't hurt you.
Where is that?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. It feels like the Great Valley.
The metaverse? Like, where is it? Where can foxes go?
The land before time. Yeah, I think it's an interesting idea. It's just too much of a bummer for me.
Right.
It's
also The Last of Us with foxes is what it is.
I feel a little bit like that like John Lennon Yoko Ono Christmas song where at the chorus,
sure, war is over if you want it.
Over, and it's like, I don't want more John Lennon. Don't look at me. Right? That's how I feel about this. Where it's like,
okay, I get what you're saying.
Where it's like the ravages a man, and it's like, hey, I'm trying.
Right.
I'm
doing the best I can. I'm not running 50 computers in my garage to develop this game. I mean, like, heal thyself.
So, yeah, just a little bit of a bummer. I don't know. I don't know what to say about this.
I think I will play this game. Every now and then I am ready for a bummer.
Yeah,
right?
you and I are different in that way where I just can't handle it. I'm going to watch Murder, She Wrote. You can text me. Let me know how it is.
I will. I'm guessing I won't have to wield the gun in the game.
Although, actually, I would play this game if the mother fox like pulls out a gun.
Right.
It's just taking out humanity one by one.
Sure. Starts taking out like NFT bros. Next up is OlliOlli World, which is coming out February 8th, 2022. Is this the first time we're seeing a release date for that?
I believe that is true.
OlliOlli World featured in a previous Indie World showcase. It is, of course, the skateboarding action platformer taking place in Radlandia and your journey to Nirvana. I have in our notes here, I'm not sure how Nirvana is spelled. Do you think with a G or not?
I do. I think it's like gnarly for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. Nirvana. You can share the paths that you take through the levels with your friends. You can unlock new gear. You can start your pre-orders now, and there are bonus items associated with that pre-order to customize your hero. Mark, I think you expressed some interest in OlliOlli World.
I think it looks really cool. I mean, transparently, I don't think I will buy it.
Yeah.
But I think like aesthetically it is very pleasing.
Yeah, and what a wild thing for OlliOlli to become, because it is such a like sim like skating game, right? to then become this like whacked out adventure in Radlandia. Just seems very funny to me.
Another game that I thought looked really cool is River City Girls 2, releasing summer 2022. This is the other trailer where I was like, this music, I liked this pop song that was playing underneath it that I think was written for the game, or at least for the trailer.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. And the composer from the first game is returning, Megan McDuffie, coming back to do music for this game. It seems like it's just another River City Girls game, but the first one was well received and looks great. So yeah, why not get another one?
Yep.
And then we move into sizzle reel territory. Mark will go through these quick unless we want to stop on stuff. First up is Parkasaurus, which comes out spring 2022. It is a like a roller coaster tycoon, zoo tycoon type game, but it's a management game for a dinosaur park, which is that's sort of what Jurassic World Evolutions is, right?
I think so, but just without the Jurassic World license. Yeah.
Which, hey, I like dinosaurs.
Yep.
I don't like Jurassic World.
No, I actually, because this is not like realistically rendered or anything,
right.
And I thought the aesthetic was fun.
There is a cute point in the trailer, and it's like a 7-second trailer, where a giant red T-Rex like bites through a fence.
Yeah.
I'm all about that.
Next up was Don't Starve Together, also releasing in spring 2022. And hey, isn't there a free preview of the original Don't Starve starting today for Nintendo Switch Online members in the US?
Mark, you're going to have to answer your own question.
There is. That is a thing that is happening. Very fortuitous timing.
So check that out. And then up next is Chicory, A Colorful Tale, which is available now. And Chicory, Mark, you have this.
I thought it looked fun, but I had, because it's like a black and white world. Like, although you see like color in the trailer. Almost looks like a coloring book, and so I was trying to figure out what that was. So I looked it up. Chicory, A Colorful Tale is a 2D adventure video game. It features an anthropomorphic dog with a magical paintbrush, which is used to color the game world. I thought it looked cute.
Yeah, and I've heard good things about this game. I believe it's on PlayStation at present, maybe even other platforms as well. But so that's a cool one. It's available now. Next up is Baby Storm, which comes out January 21st.
Finally, a release date for Baby Storm.
I'm just going to read our notes here verbatim. First bullet point just reads, no thanks. Second bullet point reads, I can't even tell what's happening. There's babies and then 4 seemingly grown characters you can change the look of. It looks like tower defense against babies, ? We don't know what to make of this thing.
Up next was Grime, coming in summer 2022. It's a side-scrolling, maybe a cinematic platformer.
Kind of looks like Flashback. I don't know.
I feel like these short little sizzle reel things for some of these games are not really doing it any favors. But maybe if you're already familiar with them from other platforms, it's more just saying like, hey, it's coming to Switch.
Or like in the example of the next one, Gerda, A Flame in Winter, which comes out sometime in 2022, is from Don't Nod Studios. So that is a studio that people may recognize. It's like a third-person narrative adventure that takes place in an occupied Danish village during World War II. Sounds like a bummer, but that's what it is.
Up next was Timely, which, based on nothing, I'm assuming is Amelie's brother.
Okay, so that's a very good joke, but I think it's Time Lie.
Oh.
Timely, though, as Amelie's brother, is perfect. So I'm sorry to have to give you the note that I think it's probably Timeline, but with lie instead of line.
Yes, that makes significantly more sense.
Yeah.
It's an isometric puzzle adventure game. Can't remember if I already said this, but it's available today with the demo.
And then the last game of the sizzle reel is a game called Behind the Frame, The Finest Scenery, coming out in spring 2022. This is another like point and click adventure looking thing. They show the player character doing 3 things. 1, playing music on a jukebox. 2, making eggs in a frying pan. And 3, painting. No idea what this game is.
All 3 things that I like.
Okay, sure. I like those things. I like them as well. I have a hard time connecting them other than just like things I might do during the day if I were painting.
Also, nobody steal the idea for Timely. That is copyright. That is Patrick and I's copyright us.
Yeah, that's right.
Starting today.
Okay, and then we get out of the sizzle reel with, okay, that's it. We're taking off. Psych, one more thing, and the one more thing is Omori, which is coming out in spring 2022. You travel back and forth between two strange and vibrant worlds to uncover a forgotten past. This is a turn-based RPG with some interesting aesthetics and illustrations by Amakat, who also wrote, produced, directed, and coded much of the game. They call out during the trailer that it deals with some heavy topics, a sort of trigger warning.
I feel
6 months.
I
in
feel
advance.
like maybe that's another one for the bingo card is content warning.
Yeah, we've never seen that before,
I don't
though,
think
right?
so. Yeah, this is a game that was released previously on PC and Mac.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a couple, or maybe 2020 was when it released. The creator of it says that originally they were planning for it to be a webcomic, but they decided to turn it into a game. I think they used RPG Maker. Turn it into a game to allow people to like affect the story with their changes, but that it was a way for them to deal with like a difficult time in their life. I don't know. I think it looks really cool. This is a very well received game on PC. But I felt like it was a fitting capstone for this particular indie direct, which I felt like had a lot of games that
feels like people are going through something.
Yeah.
That like collectively the indie video game scene is feeling something. Like Endling, sort of Figment 2, definitely After Love EP, and Omori are all like kind of heavy bummer games, right? Which is like, how do you deal with the fact that the world is crumbling or the people you love die or whatever?
Yeah. So it felt like, it felt like a good game to end on. It felt thematically true.
Yes. So, Mark, now that we have come to the end of the Indie World Showcase, what's your favorite like announcement or trailer? What was your favorite part of this thing?
I think the two that I am looking forward to the most are Sea of Stars and Loco Motive.
Yeah. Those are my two as well, but with like a heavy emphasis on Sea of Stars.
Yeah.
Like Loco Motive, I'm interested in. I may play it. I may, experience it vicariously through you. But Sea of Stars is a day one purchase for me. And not featured in this indie showcase, but I'm really enjoying Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon.
Well, who knows? Because, of course, this is the last, normal episode of NCS for the year. Who knows when the next time we'll be able to talk about the games we've been playing January of 2022.
It'll be January,
yeah.
Right? That's exactly when, January 2nd or whatever. But yeah, with that, we are leaving you in the hands of past us as we recorded the Sega Genesis episodes that are going up in the next couple weeks. We've recorded those already. They're good episodes. You're in good hands, our hands. And we'll see you guys next year.
Yeah,
right?
Everybody have a good holiday.
This is we will reiterate the same sentiment on the Sega Genesis episodes. But in the meantime, let's close this out. That's going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, please rate, review, and follow us on Apple Podcasts. If you like the episode, please share it on Facebook or Twitter or wherever you share stuff. Doesn't matter where that is, just anywhere where someone might see it. We appreciate it a bunch. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKE Mitchell. And the show is at Nin Cart Society. We also have a Facebook page, which is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Eller saying thank you for listening.
I'm Brian Husky. I'm bald.
And I'm Charlie Sanders, and I'm also bald. And we host Bald Talk on the Campfire Media Network.
Bald Talk is the podcast where two bald comedians talk to anyone bald about being bald.
But this show isn't just for baldies, Brian. Heroes will love it too.
Bald Talk gets into vulnerability, vanity, insecurity, and self-acceptance, reminding us that we all have our respective bald spots. Not that bald spots are a bad thing.
No way. I mean, my entire head is one big bald spot.
It is one huge, beautiful bald spot, Charlie.
Get Bald Talk on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.
I mean, I have like a little bit of hair, but not like you. Like, you're really bald.
I'm truly bald.
Great. I mean, it's
I'm
great.
balder than you.
You are balder than me.
Only on Bald Talk. Campfire.